Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to have a look at Muze Aquamarine plugin, and this is a contact instrument unfortunately, but it does actually seem to work. I actually saw this on audio plugin deals and this was on at $9.99, the same price as the main website, but it has since I bought it, it's gone back up to $39.99, and I got a slight discount as well. It is available on the main Muze website for $9.99, and it apparently originally retails for $199.99, which I find unbelievable. So you've got description. So there isn't a description. I mean, there's just absolutely hardly any information. I mean, that's it. That's really all they say about it. I'll go through it anyway. So there's 4 layers. There's a texture 1, texture 2, large space, and this particular one's a pluck sound, but that could be a pad. So it is kind of aimed at kind of soundscapes and kind of ambient electronica type sounds and kind of cinematic stuff. It's a bit like PASHLIGHT and PASHLIGHT, where you can kind of drag this around and merge between the 4 layers, which is pretty cool. And then there's basically a volume and an ADSR and a compressor limiter for each one. I mean, the ARP settings are, I don't know, the ARP settings are a bit of a waste of time as well. I wouldn't bother with those because they don't seem to do an awful lot. I will warn you, this is huge download. It was over 20 gigabyte download, and it was probably the longest unarchiving of a RAR file I've ever had. It just went on and on and on. 4 analog synth sources, 1,870 deep sampled pad and synth patches, and 2,700 sounds to explore and combine. So it is absolutely massive. You will need the full version of Kontakt, and you've got from 5.8 and higher. So the quality is 24-bit, 48 hertz. And there is over 30 gigabyte of content. You've kind of got your compressor, you've got an equalizer, a panorama, and you've got your send effects. So you can see there you've got EQ, reverb, you've got the panorama thing, so you can actually have it. There's a rotator as well. There's an equalizer, which is kind of a bit weird looking. Kind of got a rack, so you've got compressor and a cabinet, saturation, and a limiter. So basically what I've been doing is just switching the limiter and the compressor on and forgetting about these other two. And then you've got send effects, you've got reverb, delay, chorus, phaser, and flanger. And I wouldn't actually bother with those either, because the only thing that actually seems to make a difference is the gainer. So I would put on your kind of separate effects, you know, and use stuff like maybe ROM or Valhalla, or, you know, I wouldn't really bother with these. And it is quite a comprehensive mixer. You've got a gainer, you've got the ARP, you've got the EQ, so you can kind of muck around with it as well. So yeah, what you are getting is 30 gigabyte of lossless compression library. You've got 37,000 samples. There's 30 built-in effects. So you've got, like I said, compressor, delays, reverb, rotator, stereo panner, lo-fi, screamer, distortion. 1,872 presets. Well, they're not actually presets. The textures, synths, plucks, and chords. It has a powerful layering engine with XY pad modulation, and it is sampled from analog and digital equipment. You need 8 gigabyte of RAM and Intel i5, Mac PC, and then, let's say, the full version of Kontakt, version 5.8 or newer, and obviously a MIDI keyboard. So that is Aquamarine. Now, and if you've not heard of Muze, which I obviously hadn't really, they do actually have quite a lot of products, which and some of them do look pretty good. So I might buy another one, because I do like the kind of the interface. So there's kind of things like Eclipse, Enigma. But then they have like instruments as well. So there's a Rhodes. So you've got orchestra. So you've got absolutely a ton of other instruments. And like I said, I've never really heard of them. So you've got strings, harps, timpani, and all sorts of other things. You've got keyboards, and there's lots. There's B3 organs, there's Rhodes, there's E-pianos, there's Triton, and these are generally all about 10 quid. So if you're kind of looking for something a bit different, this one there at $6.99 for the Hyperion, whatever a Hyperion is, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, so that is the intro. And like I said, we will get Complete Control open and have a look at Aquamarine in all its glory. so here we are in complete control. So like I said in the intro, you've got two textures, you've got pad sounds and you've got large space, and you can switch these off by clicking on air. You don't need a complete keyboard for this because they've only mapped two things. So you need two knobs. You could apply this to the mod, wheel and pitch bend, because they don't do anything on this anyway. I am using my S49 Mark II, so I can adjust this quite easily, or just drag it with the mouse. So these are the presets. There's 13. There's 8 pads. There's 2 plucks, a lead, a synth, and a chord. They're all kind of named after very exotic places like Bermuda, Santorini, Maldives, Capri. As you might have expected, I have done a preset pack already for this. So I have done 22 presets. So there's loads of demos showing these kind of presets. So mainly I'm going to basically show you how it works, because the manual is completely useless. Like I said, it's just, it doesn't really tell you how to use it at all. Basically just, you know, it just gives you the screenshot. So you've got interface, source 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's great. You've got a compressor. Yeah, you've got source 1 and 2, source 3 and 4 for the compressor. You've got an equalizer. That's it. It doesn't tell you anything about it. Then you've got the surround panner and the rotator. Again, doesn't really tell you anything about it. And then you've got the 3-band equalizer, which just says reverb. I mean, it's just like, why did they even bother? And then they've got that. I mean, it's just like the most basic manual I have ever seen. And so, yeah, so you've got gainer, the ARP, equalizer, the XY pad, reverb, delay. You've got effects main out, and then you've got filters and LFOs. And that's it. And then it just kind of tells you a wee bit about, and yeah, it's like, you know, lo-fi and distortion. Yeah, well, I think I know what distortion is, but it doesn't actually tell you really much about it. So forget about the manual. Just watch this video instead. I'll play you the Azores. So that's the first one. In fact, I'll play you. So it does take a while to load. If you look up here, this is loading 2.7 gigabyte into the memory. So they are massive. So this is Bermuda. So yeah, so like I said, I will explain how this works because it's not entirely clear. Right, I'll go back to Azores and we'll start off with this one. You can kind of pretty much forget all this. Just ignore this envelope section and the ARP. So basically each source has a number and it goes fifth, you know, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, up to 12th. So you've got 3 rows of those and so you've got 3 rows for each source. So this has got one source switched on and that's what it sounds like. What I've been doing is I have been creating presets by switching these all off. So this is source 1. So if I switch that off, there's nothing. The problem is that you can't switch. They need another XY pad on this page so that you can kind of, so if you want to go to the next one, I'm going to have to bump this volume up. So that is source 2, source 4, and 3. So that is the individual sounds. So what I've been doing is basically going in and switching them all off. If it actually ends up being quite nice, you could leave it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch third on, and then another third. So you've no idea what this is going to do. So if you don't like fiddling about with software, don't buy this. Because like I said, you really have no idea. But you do kind of get used to it a bit and what's going to happen. So for instance, what I've tended to do is find one that I like. So say fourth, and I'll switch all fourths on. So we'll quite like that, and then I'll move to the next one and then switch, say, fifth on. So, or I could switch maybe third on as well, and 2/5. I mean, you don't have to, you can use, I can just use 2, so we'll just leave it at that. And then I go down to the large space, click on that, and then we'll start off with maybe a 6th. So these are kind of darker tones. So we'll leave it at that, and then we'll go over to the pad sounds, and then we'll switch on, say, 7th. Oh, I like that. And then, so that's 2 7ths. You tend to find that you don't need more than about 2 or 3. I'll put all 7ths on. So quite like that. You certainly don't need more than a couple in the space section. Right, so that is a new preset. And let's say I can, so that is 1 and 3. And then we can blend it up or down. So that is kind of more pad. And then we can go over and bring it right down to between 3 and 4. And then we can go across and then blend it between 2 and 4. So that is basically how it works. The only thing I've been adjusting is sometimes the volume for that. Say I want that a bit, so we say we go up here, I can increase the volume for that, and adjust the attack, delay, sustain, release. I don't really touch any of this at all. I certainly don't touch this because like I said, it doesn't seem to have any effect whatsoever, even if you switch the ARP on. So yeah, like I said, that's all. I've been tweaking some of these. For instance, like I said, you can take down, we could take up the sustain on these two. We can bump up the volume, bring up some release, take the attack down. So generally, so this is your effects page. So you've got your compressor here. So you can adjust it like that, and that's kind of like the sweet spot there. So this is 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then you've got your equalizers. So you've got A, B, C and D. You can ignore E because there's only 4. And then you've got the panorama, so they're both bypass. So if we take off bypass, that is the panner. And then you can adjust distance, size, the LFE volume, whatever that is, and divergence. And you can also adjust the it defaults to 500, so we can put it up to 700, and then you can bypass the rotator as well. Take the rotator down to 300. So this is just the rotator on. So yeah, so you get the kind of idea. So bypass that. So the only thing that makes any difference is the gainer, which to be honest we could actually kind of do with this peaking already. So like I said, I just wouldn't use any of this. I would use, you know, like plug-in effects, either like ROM, and then you've got the effects right. So what I've been doing is I've been switching the compressor on and the limiter, because it can get a bit peaky. So I've not bothered with the cabinet or the saturation. So that's pretty much what I've done, and then that is your mixer. So it says source 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and this preset only contains 4 groups. Well, I don't really know how you're supposed to add more than 4 groups, because there's 4 sources. So I don't really understand this bit, but like I said, there's nothing in the manual about it. So anyway, and you can't, the scroll wheel on your mouse doesn't scroll down, so you have to drag it right the way down, so you can footer about with things here as well. So that is your kind of 4 sources, and they're obviously linked. You can. So that's your main page. And that wasn't really the best example. Anyway, you get the idea. And like I said, it's a bit of a pain that you can't have a little XY pad here, because you've got to keep closing this down and going back and then footering about with each one. You've got a lead called Ibiza. Like I said, the mod wheel does absolutely nothing. It's a bit of a pain. So if we switch this on, you'll see it's got 1, 4th, 4th and 6th. So for instance, we can see, so that's the kind of saw sound, kind of buzz. We can just, whatever that is. Yeah, so like I said, they're not the greatest presets, and there only is 13 of them. Right, so the synth is called Corsica. Well, what is that? Like I said, they're a bit random. Like, why would you have that in a synth? Right, let's see. That just sounds fucking terrible. Right, let's change that for a start. Or in fact, you could just switch it off. In fact, go back there. Yeah, we'll just switch that off. So we could change that one. I don't like that one. So that is 6. So let's. The kind of first thing to do is try switching another one of the same. So that's a 6th on the first row, and I don't know how that relates to the second row, but there's obviously some sort of chain. So we could try a higher one. So we could 11th and maybe a 9th. That didn't really help. So we'll leave those two on, and we'll see what that sounds like. Pretty terrible. Yeah, like I said, the presets are not great. And then the last one is chord. So yeah, so we've got that. So you've got that at the bottom and that at the top. That is enough of those. So I got it for $10, which was about £8. So it was a bit of a no-brainer. And I do like the interface and the idea. It just needs a bit of work. And like I said, the effects don't really seem to do anything, but that's not really a problem because everyone's got loads and loads of effects plugins. And it does have absolutely thousands and thousands of sources. So you can build up some quite nice sounds, as I have done in the presets. So I've done a separate video of some of the presets, but I will show you one just now, and I'll show you how to load. So I go to open, and then in your documents folder, in your user, there will be a folder called Kontakt. Now I've put it into my sidebar, and that is where they will store. So if you save them, that's where they're stored. If I go to list, you will see that is them there. So I've kind of based some of them on the existing ones. So you've got things like Ocean, Bermuda Triangle, Capri Keys, Caribbean Sunshine, and then I've done some completely new ones, just basically switching everything off. Martinique Approach, so we'll have a listen to that one. So this one is 2 GB. We'll bump up the volume. And you can see it's been based on the Martinique pad, and then I've gone in and just changed everything. So you can see I've got 2/5, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 1st, 7th, 9th, and what's that? A 6th on source 2. So yeah. So we'll play around with it. So like I said, this is much more soundscapey. So it gives you a better idea what you can actually do with this. And they maybe should have employed me to do the presets. So like I said, you don't need a complete keyboard, because you're only using 2 knobs, and you could just use the mod wheel and the pitch bend. But it helps. Or, like I said, you can just use the mouse. So that is... we can see what... so the panner's on, and like I said, I've got the limiter, and that is it. And there's nothing on the effects. So yeah, so that's it. I do like the way that it blends. So that's one of mine, and like I said, I've done 22. It'll be available in the store for a couple of quid. There will be a separate demo of about 6 or 7 of the presets. So anyway, hopefully you have enjoyed this rather long review of Aquamarine by Muze. And like I said, if you are enjoying my videos, please like, subscribe, share and comment, and I will see you in the next one.